Alright, it's time to winterize the boat. We got our first big cold snap last night, and I tell you, it kind of scared me a little bit. Didn't get close to freezing, but it kind of reminded me it's time to do it. We're going to get down tonight to about 34, 35 is what they said. Who knows what it's going to do. We're outside of Dallas in kind of a rural area, so it gets colder than what they say. So I figured it's time to do it. So I had all the supplies. I've just been putting it off and putting it off. So I guess I'll just film it and show you guys how I do it. Now I realize there's a lot of different ways to do it, so bear with me. So I'm just going to show you how I do it, and you guys can take it for what it is. So a lot of people ask, I see a lot on forums and YouTube and so on and so forth, is why do you winterize, especially to new boat owners? So for somebody who's new to this hobby or this sport, whatever you want to call it, it is absolutely crucial that you winterize, especially in IO boats, because they use raw water from the lake or the ocean, and it pumps it through the engine, and water sits in that engine, and it sits and it can corrode if it sits long enough. But the big problem is freezing. What happens with water is when it freezes, it expands, and when it's inside of a narrow passage of metal, concrete, or whatever, when water freezes, it expands and it can crack the block, and then it's ruined. It also cracks manifolds, it cracks outdrives. So the key is to get all the water out of the engine. Also, you want to spray fogging oil inside the engine, which basically helps lubricate it and keeps, if you get any condensation or anything like that in the engine, it keeps it from rusting any of the iron parts on the inside. The big deal is the freezing, because it does get to the teens here in Dallas from time to time, and after about 4 hours of that type of freezing, it will actually crack your block. I can't tell you, we had a hard winter last year, and we had so many boats up on Craigslist that were for sale with cracked blocks. I mean, new boats. People just weren't paying attention, or they just didn't know it. So if you're a new boat owner, this is a great video, because it's going to show you exactly kind of not necessarily an easy way to do it, but it tells you how to do it all without freaking out about it. I know the first time I winterized a boat, I was really kind of worried. So, but anyway, bear with me. We'll get it figured out together, right? Okay, here are the supplies that we need to make this happen. We got this is a marine antifreeze. You'll see why I use that here in a second. This is actually not harmful to the environment. You don't ever want to use the green stuff. This actually you can pour out on the driveway and it goes away. Now this is not meant to be mixed with water at all. It's designed to be used. It's basically kind of like a isopropyl alcohol, I do believe, or an ethyl alcohol, and it goes down to -50. But we're not going to leave that in the engine. You'll see what I mean here in a second. Okay, the other things are Stay-Bil. This is a must when you're storing an engine. I've used this stuff in lawnmowers, four-wheelers, weed eaters, whatever. And this is supposedly the marine formula. I probably got suckered into buying it. But anyway, it also helps that ethanol from turning into, basically separating from the fuel and turning into water, which you don't want first time you fire it up in the springtime. And we have our fogging oil. This is Engine Store brand. It doesn't matter which one you use. I've even heard of people using WD-40, but I figured this stuff's like $5. It lasts you 3 or 4 years. I just happened to be out of it because I restored my boat last year and I didn't use this stuff because the engine was out of the boat and my other can was pretty much shot. So you'll see what this is used for here in a little bit. So also this right here, you see the funnel, and then it goes into a garden hose, and then it comes to an end like this that goes on the little earmuffs on your outdrive. Like I said, you'll see what that's all about here in a little while. First thing I do is make sure, first of all, I've got about 3/4 of a tank in the boat. You don't want a full tank, you don't want an empty tank, because if you have a full tank and it gets warm or anything like that, it can expand and the fuel can spill out, and you don't want that because that's bad for the environment. You don't want an empty tank because that promotes the fact that the water can actually build up in there in condensation and cause water contamination to your fuel. So the first thing I do is I want to treat the gas tank contents before I start and run it for this last time before winterization. And what I do then is you run the Stay-Bil in the gas tank for probably let the engine get to full running temperature, so that way all the Stay-Bil has mixed through the gas tank and it's all through the fuel lines and in the engine, or I'd say the carburetor. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and do this, run the garden hose over there and run it on earmuffs like I would any other time. Okay, so now I'm doing the run in to warm it up. What I did is I put the stay-bill in the gas tank, and I raised the nose of the valve back up and shook it around really good to make sure the stable's down in the gas tank. So now I've got it started, make sure all the water is on and it's pumping water through the engine. And I'm going to let it fully warm up so that way I know all the stable's inside the fuel system. Okay, so the engine is fully warmed up and the thermostat open, so we have plenty of stuff circulating through the engine. Now it is time to disconnect the garden hose and then use our little funnel and garden hose attachment. What we're going to do is we're actually going to put it onto the earmuffs down there, and then we're going to take our alcohol mix or antifreeze and dump it in there with the engine running. Now, this is not something you do and you leave this stuff in the engine. That's kind of the cheater way of winterizing. You actually still have to drain the engine, which you'll see here in a little bit. But this way, what it does is it flushes all the water out, and it makes sure that all that pink stuff, the antifreeze, gets into all the little passages, so that way if there's anything left whenever you drain the engine, you don't have any freeze problems. Now, that's probably being a little over ambitious, but you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So what we're going to do right now is hook this up and then let the pink stuff run. And what you do is you just dump the pink into the funnel until you see pink coming out of the exhaust port, and then we'll go on to the fogging of the engine. Okay, so you saw the pink stuff coming out down there, and that's the way we're going to leave it for right now. But the next stage is we've got to spray this fogging oil down the engine while it's running. And you can see here's the secondaries on the carburetors. I'm looking at, that's the front of the engine, this is the back of the engine, is back this way. So here's the primaries, and what you want to do is you want to squirt this stuff in here and try to kill the engine with this oil, but sometimes it won't. So what you want to do is just kind of spray down in there and then shut the engine off. And once you've done that, it's done. You're not starting it again until the next season. So that's what we're fixing to do.